Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Orion here on Monday morning, September the 3rd, now into the month of September, and there are a couple of tropical systems in the tropical Atlantic Ocean. It's been a relatively quiet period, really since the last named storm in the Atlantic, which was Ernesto, all the way back to August the 12th, and we have not had a period without named storms from August 13th to September 3rd since 1968. So this is indeed quite an uncommon quiet period for this particular time of the year in the Atlantic Basin. Again, no named storm in the Atlantic between the period of August 13th to today, September 3rd, and that hasn't happened since 1968. There are a couple of systems out there right now to monitor, and both of these have a chance of becoming named storms over the next few days, but by no means is that a guarantee in either case. The initial system here now sitting over the Caribbean Sea will continue on a west-northwest track and then likely cross over the Yucatan Peninsula region before reaching into the southwestern Gulf of Mexico later this week. And another system way out in the far eastern Atlantic Ocean also has a chance to become a named storm, but right now I'd give it maybe 50-50 chance, and that'll continue slowly moving to the northwest over the next several days. So yes, we do have a couple of systems but out over the Atlantic Ocean, but nothing imminent in terms of potential impact on the Gulf of Mexico or the east coast of the U.S. And again, we've gone through quite an uncommon quiet period since about the middle part of August. Well, now moving away from the tropics, we have quite a crisp air mass in the northeastern part of the nation, encompassing the region from the Great Lakes to the Mid-Atlantic to the northeast U.S., and it also includes the Ohio Valley. This is from coolweather.com, COOLWX.com, and it shows the temperatures early this morning that are at record lows or near record lows, including, for example, right here in the center part of Pennsylvania State College has dropped down to about 45 degrees as of the last observation. That is a daily record low temperature. So quite a chilly air mass, even for this time of the year, with temperatures at or near records in a decent amount of weather stations across the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and all the way up to the northeast U.S. This particular station here at Saranac Lake, also near or just at a record low this morning, already down to about 31 degrees, may drop down another degree or so over the next hour or two, but frosty weather upstate New York for the very beginning stages of the month of September. Well, let's take a look at the Canadian model run from last night at 0Z. Here we're looking at the next 10 days, the total precipitation amounts, and a couple things jump out. First of all, quite an extensive area of relatively dry conditions over the next 10 days, really extending from the west coast. Not completely dry, but not much rainfall at all over the next 10 days from the west coast all the way into the Midwest and portions of the Great Lakes. The biggest rainfall over the next 10 days, the highest amounts look like generally over the Gulf of Mexico. And certainly this is under the influence of a tropical system. There may be tropical wave moving into the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, as we mentioned up front here, over the next few days. And it looks like a lot of rainfall over the Gulf of Mexico, the state of Florida, and off to the north and east, maybe encompassing the southeastern states as well. Now, there will be kind of an active weather pattern we'll get into over the next couple of minutes up the Atlantic seaboard at the end of this week and into the early part of the weekend, where a cold frontal system will be dropping in from the north and west, and low pressure looks like it'll ride up along the coast. That could actually end up resulting in some higher amounts than the Canadian model run is showing in this part of the nation. If indeed that low pressure does hug the coast with that front coming in Friday night, Saturday night time frame, you could end up with higher amounts here during the early part of the upcoming weekend. And again, we'll talk about that over the next couple of minutes. Well, before we get to the surface maps, let's take a look at the 850 millibar temperature anomaly forecast maps. Again, this is using the 0Z Canadian model run. All these maps, by the way, from tropicaltidbits.com. A very, very pleasant air mass, a cooler than normal air mass for this time of the year as we wake up here on Tuesday morning, encompassing that area from the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley to the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S. And again, some of these areas experiencing near record or even record lows this morning. State College, for example, Saranac Lake, upstate New York, record lows for the day here as we begin to go through the first week of September. It is warmer than normal, well above normal across the northern Rocky states, but we'll see once this cool air shot passes to the east away from the northeastern states, there'll be another one coming in within this next week to 10 days or so. So let's in fact move forward here. We see this hanging on across the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S. right into Wednesday, and even Thursday won't be a bad day at all here. And look at this, another cold shot coming across the northern plains into the Great Lakes. This is impressive. Well below normal temperatures by this Friday across much of the northern plains and into the western Great Lakes. It does turn hot for this time of the year out across the west coast here, but this next cool shot just drives to the south and east. Here we are on Saturday, and finally into the day on Sunday, another large area of below normal temperatures across much of the eastern half of the nation that continues to push to the east. There'll be that frontal system early part of the weekend in the east that may combine with low pressure riding up along the Atlantic seaboard. Following the frontal passage, it turns cool and dry again in the Mid-Atlantic, in the Northeast for Sunday and Monday of the early part of next week. The hottest temperatures, the highest temperatures relative to normal, confined all the way up to the northern plains and maybe the interior part of the Pacific Northwest by the middle part of the upcoming week. Let's go out a couple other days here into next Monday. This is a week from right now, kind of the same pattern that we have right now, with cooler than normal conditions extending from the Great Lakes to the interior Northeast here and all the way down to the Carolinas. And again, the hottest temperatures confined to northern Rockies into the interior Pacific Northwest. Well, let's walk through the surface forecast maps, and again kind of want to focus on the possibility of a decent rain event for much of the Mid-Atlantic, Northeast U.S. Friday night, Saturday night time frame. It's been quite dry in many parts of the Mid-Atlantic region over the last several weeks here. We could use a soaking rain event, not all at once, but a nice soaking rain event. Very cool air mass here. Anchored by high pressure as we begin the day here on Tuesday. 1029 millibar high, even a nice Appalachian damming type of pattern here. When you see the isobars kind of kinking up like this, that is indicative of what we call a damming high pressure pattern here, where colder air drops all the way down on the eastern side of the Appalachians, and it's always anchored by strong high pressure to the north, and it certainly is cooler than normal for this time of the year. Again, even a few records being set. The rainfall over Texas is from a tropical wave. Did not become a named tropical storm, but there was indeed a tropical wave sitting over the western Gulf that has moved inland and is causing a lot of rainfall over the state of Texas. Let's now push forward here, and we'll take a look here at the latter part of the week. This is on Wednesday, and then finally by Thursday, that strong Canadian high pressure pushes to the east off the east coast, and that kind of opens the door, and we start to see some of the initial signs of the next strong cold front dropping from Canada into the northern plains. This is 48 hours from now on Thursday morning, and a lot of moisture here starting to set up over the Gulf of Mexico. We go ahead 24 hours into Friday morning here, and here's that next frontal system producing some rainfall up across Hudson Bay region of Canada, down across the northern part of the Great Lakes by Friday morning, and low pressure is starting to form over the Gulf of Mexico here as we end the work week. And here we go, another 24 hours into Saturday morning, and again you have a cold frontal system right in this region right here, dropping in this fashion from the northwest to southeast, and now low pressure moving up, and it can combine with this front to produce a decent rain event again Friday night, Saturday night time frame for the Mid-Atlantic Northeast U.S. Let's see what this particular model run does here. Here we go into late Saturday, finally Saturday night. Again, you have this frontal system combining with this coastal low, throwing some rain back into the big cities during the day on Saturday. Again, this is the early part of the upcoming weekend. By the way, another tropical system here we talked about earlier moving into the southwestern Gulf by the middle part of the upcoming weekend. Then we go out a little bit farther in time. This is now Sunday, and that front is starting to work its way to the eastern seaboard by Sunday, and there could be a little bit of residual rainfall early Sunday, but for the most part it tends to clear by later Sunday night. And right here you have yet another cool air mass here in this part of the nation. 1 week from 1 week from yesterday. This is actually Tuesday morning here. 1 week from yesterday, with the coolest core of the air right here centered over the northern Great Lakes. Again, all anchored by a Canadian high pressure, another cool shot coming to the Great Lakes, the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic region for the early part of next week. So we'll have to watch the possible combination of that coastal low pressure area along the East Coast late this week, early this weekend, combining with that funnel system moving in from the north and west. There could be a decent rain event for portions of the northeastern states Friday night, Saturday night time frame. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.